evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the August 20th regular Board of Education meeting. Nice to see you there on a pleasant evening. The Middlesex Board of Education and District Administration remind all participants that we are all working together in the best interest of each and every child attending the Middlesex Borough Public Schools. The mission of our school district is to engage in a partnership with our community to provide the knowledge and skills for all students to achieve academically and to develop confidence in their ability to work through challenges, to be compassionate and respectful of themselves and others, and to be committed to overall excellence in a diverse world. All attendees are reminded that any verbal, written, or physical, whatever, that is demeaning or inflammatory toward any other while engaged in school activity will not be tolerated. Each person is requested to take personal responsibility for conducting him or herself respectfully during all school functions. Call to order. The New Jersey Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies of which any business affecting their interest is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Board Secretary has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the bulletin board located in the hallway outside of the administrative offices, and notice was provided to the Courier News, the Home News, Tribune, and the Middlesex Borough. Ms. Swear, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Coyle?
Here.
Mrs. Denizio? Here. Mr. Giovanni? Here. Mrs. Sam Phillips? Here. Mrs. Shirley? Here. Mr. Oliver?
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item on the agenda tonight will be a presentation by Mrs. Suzanne Ivory, our Director of Special Services.
Actually, I'm going to insert one early because we have a special guest here with your indulgence. I'd like to present Erica Thompson. She is a graduate of Delaware University, and I'm just excited about her story, about how she came to be hired. She interviewed for a position, a preschool position last year, and did a demo lesson, and she did a fine job, but she was new. We did not initially offer her the position, but really saw some wonderful characteristics and invited her to come be a paraprofessional, which she did, and came aboard mid-year. She was told we had a mid-year retirement that we needed a highly qualified person to do, and she willingly stepped in. She utilized all the district resources, met with the team, met with Dr. Coos, and really utilized all those resources, impressed principals at both Watchung and Walker Middle School, and just was in an excellent position to take advantage of another round and work on her demo lesson, and did a great job. So just one of the things I like about Middlesex is when we're able to grow candidates and develop them. So sometimes no just means not now, let's get some more experience, and I'm hopeful, love to see others come aboard. We have paraprofessional opportunities because sometimes teachers aren't able to get a job. There's a lot of competition out there, or they want to work in Middlesex and they're patient and learn and grow. So she's already ahead of the game, knowing many of the players and many of the support people, and we're very excited. So I just want to welcome her aboard to the Hazelwood. She'll be in our preschool disabled position. She has both a special ed and MP3 certification. So we're very excited to have her start with us in September.
Welcome, Erica.
Thank you.
I'm sure you know what your surroundings are already, so you keep going. So that's great.
And then, not to be rude, but I'm telling her she doesn't have to start. Yeah, she's more than welcome to.
No one listens to your boss's talk for an hour?
That's what you said for my classroom.
So I'm just going to give a quick overview, state of the union, so to speak, in terms of special ed land. Special ed is a very expensive program. There are mandates by the state, and it's just something we don't have an option to do, but obviously we want to do it in the most effective and efficient way. So just kind of talk about some highlights, some updates in our program changes, some challenges. You know, there are some challenges. I want to be realistic and share those with the board, and a little bit of a look ahead. So I've kept it short and simple, but feel free. I know I've talked to some of you because, you know, what are you interested in? And it was lovely to have those little before the board meeting conversation in terms of some pieces about inclusion, about how we deal with parents that it's a very much an emotional journey with parents, and also committees with special ed and looking at cost and comparison, which is wonderful to hear. We want to always grow and learn, and comparing what other districts do and sitting on those committees is important. So some of the highlights this year, we were really getting under the hood in terms of our autistic program. We had done the ABA, which is called Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the industry standard for autistic, but not really in a cohesive manner with the certification that came with the Rethink Autism, and implementing it with a BCBA, that's a board certified behavioral analyst, oversight, which needs to be done with a true ABA program. So we introduced that. With our preschool, we updated our creative curriculum, but with that came a new assessment tool, which we'll be implementing with a 2-day training. It's called the Gold Assessment. It's an online component. We also have a new autistic assessment. Replacing our ABLES is the VB MAP, which again is an industry standards. We're just trying to improve and grow and implement best practices. Two other things that you'll hear me talk about when we talk about addressing challenges. We are doing a Rutgers partnership. This is for paraprofessional, and it can include teacher training on behavior support. So they received a grant. They're going to do a random study using Mauger School and Hazelwood School, because we need the critical mass of our paraprofessionals there. They're going to go in and work with the aides on giving coaching for behavior. So teachers are welcome to be invited. Others can attend the training as well. So it's a 2-year. They're going to flip a coin after everybody signs up to decide which year goes first. So 1 year is a control group, and then they'll do the training next year. So we're really hoping to implement, the social emotional needs of students is increasing challenge. We've always talked about academic interventions and helping students academically, but without a social emotional regulation, academics comes, and I hate to say this, academics comes after that, but basically, you have to be they have to be stabilized in order to reach them educationally. The other piece that we're doing is increasing our internship. We had excellent Emily, who left us for Hawaii, intern for psychology next year. We're increasing that to 3 interns. We have 1 at Hazelwood and 2 at Mauger for social workers. So we're excited about that. It's a way to get increased services, help support our TLC, and increase student services for counseling, social emotional groups, that sort of thing. The other piece is we are continuing with our augmentation of the high school curriculum writing. These are in our self-contained LLD and MD classes, where they modify the existing curriculum so it's appropriate and also integrated with life skills. We use the attainment curriculum series for that. So this summer the focus was on chemistry, world cultures, and English 12 with Miss Nemiroff and Miss Marsigliano. In terms of staff development, with our special education and aides, we kicked off last year a speaker series. This is a hybrid PLC, professional learning community. So we had our professional learning community groups, these with our self-contained teachers, and but we kicked it off with a speaker series. So the speaker would present, meet with the small groups, and kind of facilitate the PLC with highlights. This year, some of the things that we're looking at are ABA. We're bringing in our community school sign language teacher for essentials. In terms of our autistic students, a lot of them are nonverbal, so learning all those sign languages is essential piece, just the basics is important. Behavioral supports, and also assistive technology with Brian Friedlander. So we are looking at continuing with that speaker series. I think it was a successful model, and continuing with that next year. The other piece, we're on a 3-year, and for trying to remember who was at my interview when I was talking about sustained change. A lot of times with staff development, we really have to get in deep. So we're doing a 3-year book study on the 7 habits of highly effective people. We are first learning about the habits, implementing them, just so they're deeply ingrained. This is including all of our child study team and our speech and language pathologists. One of the goals that I have is to have a common language. When we have a problem, we go to looking at what the rules, not the rules, but the habits are in terms of start with the end in mind, think win-win, all of these things. We're doing it in a concentrated way. The first 3 habits are really from within. And I was talking earlier about the toll that special ed can take on service providers. There's a lot of emotional energy that comes with parents and new classifications, and this equating it to similar to sometimes it's similar to that process of a death and dying, where you have the denial, you have the anger. It's a heartbreak for many of our parents, and just kind of coming to that acceptance and realization that their child might not be able to do all of the things that other children do. It is a very hard journey, and there's a lot of emotional pieces. So taking care of themselves and looking at internal habits. But the other piece that I'm looking for is to grow cohesiveness between the teams. This is important because I think in the past they were more isolated. They kind of did their own thing. But the problem was when a student went from the elementary, for example, up to Mauger, there were differences in the program, the IEP, and I'm just trying to increase the dialogue and the efficiency. So we created a system for transition. In the fall, everybody gets their 2019-2020 working case manager. So in addition to this year's case manager, all 3rd grade and all 8th grade students are all assigned a future case manager so that they can transition, and there's protocols and guidelines for that transition. So we're trying to really develop those effective habits and get cohesiveness within the service providers. The other piece is the parent workshop series. We kicked it off last year, and I'm going to admit, we kind of got a little bit of a late start. We advertised and we created them, and then there's a lot of, you go and you have all the open house, and then you've got all the conference time, and then it's Christmas. So I really wanted to start it early, so these are already board approved last month. So this is just a sample to draft. There's a couple changes, so I'm giving you the drafts of that series. And we'd like to increase attendance, so we're really going to get the word out. We're kicking it off with the parent partnerships with our elementary, focusing on the preschool, becoming new parents. We'd like to strengthen our parent advisory committee, that's our PAC for special ed, but kind of mix it up. We're also offering the social group for students, which meets a couple goals, creating those social opportunities for students, but also for some parents who are torn because they might have older students, but they can't leave those older students at home because they have a lot of disabilities, so that now they have a place where they can go while they have the workshop as well. So just kind of a taste of some of those pieces. Ideally, we can identify some parent leaders who will, because this is supposed to be developed by parents, it's kind of like a PTO for special ed, and I really want to enable the parents, but hopefully this will provide a gateway for parents to come in and, really kind of, sometimes it's a double-edged sword. If no one shows up at your meetings, advise us, tell us how to do a better job. Sometimes it can be an indication that you're not getting the word out or they don't care. But often, if they're satisfied and happy, they tend to not show up. If they're angry, they'll kind of come and kick down your door. So, but I'd like to get more proactive involvement and utilize some of our resources. I think I'm a big proponent of Special Olympics, and I'd love to get more parents involved in that. Here's just some kind of down and dirty program changes. We created both the resource program. Last year we added Watchung resource program, and this year we're adding LLD. So we moved one of the LLDs over to Watchung. So now every school has both resource and LLD at the elementary level. So this was done by, we eliminated the Watchung BD. It's now a LLD. And the advantage of that is that ideally they can go to their home school. It's hard because, when you're small, it's hard to sometimes get efficiencies because not everybody has babies at the same time in the same sending district year to year. But ideally they can go to their home school to minimize busing. Oops, I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. And reduce the student movement is what I wanted to say. So that if they don't have a program for LLD, they'd have to go to another school. and also increase the program flexibility. Ideally, you want students in LLD to merge out into resource. You want to continue to mainstream them. As they get older, you want them to be exposed to a least restrictive environment, and it's hard to do when you have to move them to another school. What we try to do with LLD is push them out into a math or ELA lesson where they will get some support, but also have a nurturing environment they can go to if they have regulation issues, if it's too much. So we try exploratory to get them out before we move them into resource. The other, did I go back? Okay. We also created a Mauger LLD classroom. This is our third LLD classroom at Mauger. I'll show you that graph in a minute. And a high school resource teacher. So one of the trends I just wanted to show you was the overall percentage. Because I looked at the numbers, and I know we were talking today, Dr. Madison, but actually the number of special ed went down. Some of that's a little bit anomaly because we have students who leave, but we saw them process all the students coming in. They have to declare residency, they have to get up, they have to get classified. But sometimes it's not just the number of students, it's what the classification are and the overall percentage that we have to look at and what type, because a self-contained student is more expensive than, let's say, a speech-only articulation. And if you recall last year, I presented we were trying to get the low-hanging fruit, and one of those was the 5-minute blast to exit our speech-only articulation students at the middle school level. So we were able to get a lot of those out of the program. It was an efficient way to speed it up. So it was great because we lowered the overall numbers, but we've gotten an influx, which I'll show you shortly, of students in the self-contained programs, and an increase, as you can see here, of the overall percentage. So this is just Middlesex from 2015-16. It's grown from 17.3 to 17.9. So you've seen an increase there. The DOE doesn't have state comparisons for these years. It was the same in 2016-17. We were exactly the same as the state level. So the piece is, we have increases. How is that recognized? And how does it compare overall with similar demographic DFG groups? Because they haven't broken it out, desegregated like that in terms of DFG, but we do have to be aware of just this overall increase if you look at the percentage of special ed to regular ed students. The other graph is not looking at resource, but looking at just students in how many self-contained programs we have. So at the elementary, we have 8. I counted preschool as 3 because we have a full day program, and then it's considered a full day, but it's 2.5 hours, so it's an AM and a PM program for our preschool disabilities. Plus we have multiple disabilities, autistic, and then, as I mentioned, the 3 LLD programs at the 3 elementary schools. At Mauger, we just added our 3rd LLD. In addition to that, we have an MD and an autistic. At the high school, we have our LLD, our MD, which could be an autistic classroom, and then we have our Project ACT, which is considered an MD program in terms of those programs. So it's important to look at that because as they move up, you can see where we created our programs to keep our kids in district, which is great. We're keeping a lot of kids in district. But it also means as they move up through Mauger, as they move up to the high school, we have to create new programs, new classrooms. With the referendum not passing, this becomes a challenge because they need a self-contained classroom when you have a self-contained program. So that's just a piece we have to look at. And I look around and it's hard. I don't see a lot of empty classrooms. So that's a piece the board has to look at and consider when we talk about challenges. So one of the pieces is trying to maximize efficiency. Sometimes you feel great because you've got that class loaded up to capacity. But all it takes is one student move in and suddenly you're over, and legally you're supposed to open up another section. And a lot of the classes are small, autistic 6. So it doesn't take we just had one move in today. So it doesn't take very many to put you over the top. So it's a very fine balance between trying to maximize your efficiency and leaving a little room for growth so you're not suddenly stuck trying to create a new program mid-year. The other piece is, because I ask people when they move in, because a lot of people have been buying houses, which is great for the economy. People are coming in, you know, they want to be here, and I'm like, oh, welcome to Middlesex. So why did you pick it? And I hear wonderful things about the community. They love that it's big enough for these programs, but not too big that they feel overwhelmed at some districts. They love all the support, you know, the park and the programs, and it's a wonderful family-oriented community. So it's always a double-edged sword because we have a good reputation for our special ed programs. There's word of mouth. I had one family that talked about another family that moved in. So this is an unscientific study, but I do like to ask people, you know, hey, well, what made you come here? Obviously that they could afford a house, but a lot of people say they specifically targeted our community. But another challenge is the development of new staff. I mean, I think this year was a bit of an anomaly, but my PT, physical therapist, retired. We had one of my child study team retired, another one resigned. We had multiple teachers move, aides move, so it's just been a huge turnover, and that can be exhausting. So sometimes you want to do all these new initiatives, but sometimes you have to take a deep breath and just focus on the basics. So I've been keeping my goals humble for next year, trying to maintain programs, grow programs, but really also know that I'm going to be developing new staff, and a lot of my energy is going to be going towards that. Another piece is as we bring students back to district, and that's a piece we're always looking at, trying to see who we can bring back. We have to remember we can look like, oh, we're saving all this money because we brought them back and we don't have to pay for them, but there is an increased price in your infrastructure. You have increased PT, increased speech, OT. You know, the child study team, their case management has grown extensively since I've come here. So, you know, all of that puts a burden on your infrastructure and your support services. You know, there's some challenges there. In terms of meeting the challenges, this is a term, sometimes my team doesn't like it, but I always am, I like to use the support of as many people as I can and offer them, you know, what kind of solutions can we look at. And one of the terms I use is budget friendly or budget neutral, you know, whenever we can come up with solutions. For example, we increased another speech and language therapist by 40%. We increased our BCBA from 1 day to 2 days a week, and we did that through breakage of retirement. So we utilized that breakage to be able to increase those services without increasing the bottom line for personnel costs. I'd like to say I did the same with aides, but we just, you know, had an increase in aides, and we just had to, you know, for one-to-one services or people who moved in with IEPs with personal aides. The another is to look at some of our, and we were talking earlier about cost of private school costs versus public school costs, of where we could use some of the local schools for these out-of-district programs, specifically behavioral disability, since we eliminated that program, and looking at those placements, because typically the public school placements are less expensive. The other piece that I had talked earlier is just using partnerships. The Rutgers program, the interns, we get an increase in services without that cost. The other piece that I'm looking at is where we can create efficiencies. We met with Michelle Loeb to go over the genesis and how we could use that database. When we create ESY, it's a whole new school. We create 3 programs at the 3 different schools. We create all the rosters, we create attendance sheets, we create the busing list, and all of that's created from scratch by the team. So I'm really looking at where we can utilize our Genesis database to pull in all that data and transfer it over, so we're not creating everything from scratch. So that's one example. I feel like I've got the low-hanging fruit, so there's less around, but I'm still trying to, everywhere I can, create those efficiencies. And we have to do probably a better job, I'll confess, with our audits. You know, sometimes we get complacent. We had used to give out busing for any at the preschool and elementary level when they were classified, and now they're really looking at that and providing a rationale. But we need to continue, I need to continue to scrutinize that and have those conversations. Sometimes we have services, and again, business as usual, but we need to rethink those. I know we have out of district, because during that time, maybe the student needed a behavioral therapeutic placement, but maybe they're ready to come back. So we always want to look at returning those students to district because it's more efficient. So those are some of the big picture pieces. I know it was short and breezy. The one piece I didn't put, and I'm not going to go over it with you, but in great detail, but I just wanted to show you because I do believe in getting out there, and I wanted to commend Robin Johnson, who is our social worker at Margaret School, and she and I went to Atlantic City and we did a presentation on how to create a TLC. One of the things we're looking at is to create what I call mini TLCs. So this is not staffed by a social worker at Margaret, but it could be an area where students go for sensory, if they're having a hard time. Typically they get sent to the office, but the office isn't always the best place. They might not have a person there. So that was one use of the social worker interns. We're looking at helping them counsel students, helping them kind of get back on keel so they can go back to their class and assimilate into the classroom. So just providing spaces where the students can have an opportunity to decompress. I don't want to call it a timeout because it's not a punishment. It's really viewed as therapy to counsel them, help them learn those tools to self-regulate, help them get their work, get them back on track so we can get them back in the classroom. So this was just a presentation. We met with others, had conversations. Dr. Madison was there. So it's just a kind of an overview. I'm just running through it real quickly of the conversations, of the presentation. But in addition, we had some great conversations with people who were looking at doing the same thing. It was interesting to me because others are doing it. I thought it was very innovative and creative. They call it different things, but there's a similar need out there and a similar others are kind of scrambling to address how they are going to meet the social emotional needs of students because the trend that we're seeing here is all across New Jersey, nationwide as well. I think I'll breathe. Yes?
One of the things that you said at the beginning of your presentation was related to parent workshops. And you said how often parents feel uncomfortable when their students are classified and they feel sometimes like they're the only parent or they've done something wrong or whatever. And it seemed to me that the purpose of the workshops was to kind of get over that somewhat. And I've always thought that the best way to get people to come to a meeting, and probably do this, would be to have the teachers personally invite parents to attend. Because it's very easy to say, I didn't see the notice, but I know it's one. But the teacher says, Mrs. Smith, we're having this program on Wednesday night, I think we can talk to you, they might help out.
I agree, and that's one of the reasons I want to kick this off at the beginning of the year, so that those conversations can now happen at back to school night. They can do the invites, share with them, encouraging them to come and build that network of support. Because one of the things about it is it can be an isolating experience. When you are with others, there can be in addition to learning and growing, there's an informal support network. And when you learn you're not alone, then others you can talk to, it's not so isolating.
Anybody else?
Thank you very much. That was really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, time for announcements. Board of Education President has one announcement. I was sitting and waiting at the hospital this morning, and I looked at my watch and it said today's the 20th of August. Oh my God, the 20th of August. And this is 2 weeks to Labor Day. It's 3 months. Hope all you guys are ready. Wish you well. Another exciting year. Just done with it. 20th of August. Enough said for me. Dr. Madison?
I don't have any comments this evening. I know, sorry. I really don't have anything to say except that we're working hard to try to make sure that the schools are ready. And we're looking forward to September 4th when we welcome back all of our teachers and staff and have a nice kickoff to the year. And one of the things, so that I will say,
I was going to say, let me cross that out, none.
Guest keynote speaker for our opening day. We have invited in Pam Allen, who is a world-renowned author and leader in the area of literacy. And Kate and I went to the Women's Leadership Conference in the spring, and she was such a dynamic speaker, and we were so impressed by her and her message seemed to match what we're trying to do here, that we asked her if she would be willing and available to come on our first day, and she was, and we tried to get her right away, because really she wrote an outstanding book that we all read, and really excited about bringing her in to talk to the staff. So we've never done this before, at least as long as I've been here, so I'm really excited about it.
Michelle, anything?
I'll stand down and I'll speak to them.
Val, will you, minutes, please?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve board meeting minutes. The special public meeting, May 30th, 2018. The regular public meeting, June 23rd, 2018. Executive session, June 23rd, 2018. Regular public meeting, July 23rd, 2018. And executive session, July 23rd, 2018. So moved.
Second?
Sure.
Thank you, Joe. Are there any questions or comments, corrections? Please call the roll.
Mr. Coyle?
Yes for May 30th, July 23rd, abstain June 25th.
Mrs. D'Elia? Yes. Mr. Giovanni?
Yes to May 30th and June 23rd.
Mrs. Sam Phillips? Yes. Mrs. Schuler?
Yes to May 30th and June 25th regular public meeting, but abstain from the June 25th executive and the July meeting minutes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes. Minutes are approved. Introduce
Yes. So we're very fortunate tonight to meet the board. As you know, Steve Bowden has left the district to pursue his dream job of being a pinball machine designer and game designer in San Antonio, and we were searching for a replacement for Steve and trying to think about ways that if we couldn't find someone that had a similar background to what we needed to replace Steve, that we were kind of had plans B and C in place. And Sheila Connolly, who's sitting in the first row here, sent a resume, and in my conversations with Steve, I said, Steve, with Sheila to just see if she speaks the same language as you, and understands the parts of the job that you're responsible for. And he said, sure. So he did that, and he came back to me later and he said, yeah, she sounds like she can check off all the boxes, is what he basically said. And so we brought Sheila in and interviewed her, and she just blew us away in the interview process. She really was very engaging and had a lot to offer, and had been doing a similar job in another school district. And we all agreed that we're very happy that Sheila's here, and she's going to be my conduit to the department, because right now, previously we didn't really have a department chair or somebody like that. So Sheila is going to also do those duties. And I think that she's a great fit for our district. We're really excited that she's here, and I wanted the board to just, be able to put a face to a name. And Sheila was here helping me with the snowball and making sure that we can continue to get the audio of the meetings on the website. So, do you want to say anything, Sheila?
I'm just really excited to be here in Middlesex. I'm looking forward to a great year, and everybody's been very nice, and excited about getting the Chromebooks out to the students this week. So, had that goal right away. So, been working with the technology staff on that, but really, super happy to be here, and very excited. Thank you.
Sheila, we're very excited to have you here too. We've heard wonderful things about you throughout the process. Good luck.
Thank you.
You kind of figure about a 70 or 80 hour a week person, right? Maybe. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
At this point, I would like to open for communication from the public. If you have any questions for the board, I would ask that you kind of stand, identify yourself, and direct your questions to the chair, to the committee. There will be a second opportunity later on.
Nadine Petrowski, 41 Glengarry. Is there a door that's marked where to come in for these board meetings? Because I walked around the entire building trying to get in. I even pulled on the door and didn't get in. So do you have a door marked? I know we're doing security and we want the building secure, but this, I believe, is a public meeting, is it not?
Yes,
Oh.
and we always try to have the door down by the superintendent's office.
Is it marked that that's the door you're coming in? Because I read the agenda here and it doesn't say that.
You're correct, it doesn't say it on the agenda, but.
So then how would we
I
know?
guess we'll put it on the agenda and we'll try to get that word out.
Okay,
It
I would
doesn't seem to
appreciate
stop
it.
too many people from coming.
Well, it would deter, I think, quite a few if you can't get in the building and, you know, I think that's just
Okay,
obvious.
we'll try to take care of it.
And my second question is that I understand we are in, we want to be fiscally sound. But I guess my worry is that it was stated at a previous board meeting that we are replacing TAs with hourly aides, which as a parent of a special needs child, I have issues with that, okay? And the second thing is now we're bringing up the busing. And I feel that if we are running buses to go to schools to pick up these special needs children, then what's the difference if you have 5 or 6 on the bus? Like, why are we skimping on those children? And I'm gonna say, I'm starting to take notice of this stuff because I don't think it's fair. They're the ones with the least amount of voice. So I guess I'll be the voice. I'm gonna be watching because that's making me very nervous that you're replacing hourly TAs who are, I believe, have to have certification with hourly aides. I understand being fiscally sound, but I don't think it should be the kids who need it the most that are being gypped. So, and I'm not too happy about hearing about this bus either. And I have several friends in town who have special needs kids who have been complaining to me about it. So, I'm going to say I'm a little nervous.
Okay, thank you for that, we hear that, and I would suggest that you talk to Mrs. Ivins about the busing situation to make sure that you're clear and that she's clear in what you said.
Okay,
Okay?
I will.
Bob Blue, NEA President. Might be a simple one. On page 5 of the agenda, items 4 and 5, just, the answer's probably yes for that, on a normal basis. These people that are being approved tonight, they know that they're being approved tonight?
It's my understanding that the principals selected and worked with the people at their buildings. That's where we got the names from, the principals.
Right, no, and most of them I think are from last year. I just want to make sure that they were told, you know, and do you want to do this because this is voluntary?
Right.
Hopefully it's not a surprise.
Right, because, I mean, it has happened, but I just want to.
It has happened, you're right.
So yes?
That's my understanding that all the folks agreed to it.
Anyone else at this point? We'll have another opportunity to look at later on. Okay. All right. Personnel. Val?
Okay, so the Personnel Committee met on August 7th before National Night Out. I didn't have an opportunity to send those meeting minutes out until today because I went on vacation right after that. So hopefully you all got a chance to read it. And if you have any changes, just let me know and I'll notate that in the report. And the next Personnel Committee meeting, I don't know when that will be. Hopefully in September sometime. Okay. Okay. So I'd like to move the following resolutions for approval as recommended by the Superintendent of Schools. Number 1, approve the attached personnel schedules. Appointments contractual, Schedule A on page 15. Salaried aides, Schedule B, page 16. And note that Maria Monteverde has backed out of that position. Hourly employee, Schedule C, page 17. Extra contract stipend, Schedule E, page 18. Leave of absence, Schedule F, page 19. End of service, Schedule G, page 20. Staff transfers, Schedule H, page 21. Salary guide adjustment, Schedule I, page 22. academic stipend, Schedule J, page 23. Number 2, approve a revision to the .50 FTE teacher assistant position created on June 11th at 2018 at Bonnie Margaret Middle School as follows. From Bonnie Margaret Media Center to Bonnie Margaret Resource Room. Number 3, approve the library aide job description, and that's also attached. Number 4, abolish creation of position, whereas the superintendent of schools has recommended to abolish and create positions because of changes in the district, and whereas the Middlesex Board of Education agrees with the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, now therefore be it resolved that the following positions be abolished and created for the 2018-2019 school year. Abolish 1, FTE 1-to-1 salaried aide position at MHS beginning 9/1/2018 and create 3 1.0 FTE 1-to-1 salaried aide position at Bonnie Margaret School for students 249-8562, 276-4613, 265-8264, beginning 9/1/2018. So moved.
Second.
Second,
And,
Giovanni.
and the committee meeting is currently scheduled for 6 p.m. before the September 10th
September 10th.
board meeting.
Gotcha.
Anyone have any questions for Mrs. Denicio or for Dr. Massey? Please call the roll.
Mr. Foil?
Yes.
Mrs. Denicia?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mrs. St. Phillips? Yes. Mrs. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes. Education Committee report, Mr. Giovanni, please.
I don't know when the next education committee meeting is going to be, but I will reach out to Mrs. Kennedy about that.
The education committee is scheduled for 6:30 on September 17th.
I would like to move the following resolutions for approval as recommended by the superintendent of schools. 1, approve the attached education schedules. Tuition out of district placement, Schedule B on page 24. Professional development, Schedule F, page 25 through 28. Drills and out-of-school suspension, Schedule H, page 29. And harassment, intimidation, and bullying report, which is Schedule I on page 30, and notice medical incidents. 2, approve the travel and related expenses scheduled for various district staff to attend conferences and workshops for the 2018-19 school year, which is attached in the board packet. 3, approve the disposal of textbooks no longer being used, rendered obsolete or surplus, which is attached. 4, approve the 2018-2019 school improvement panels as part of the NJ Educator Evaluation System for each school building, and those staff are listed. 5, approve the 2018-2019 District Evaluation Advisory Committee, and those representatives are listed. 6, approve Learning Tree Multicultural, Multilingual Evaluation and Consulting Incorporated to provide services as needed to support the Special Services Department for the 2018-2019 school year. Those costs are listed. 7, approve the IDEA Individual with Disabilities Education Act Consolidated Grant for fiscal year 2019 in the amount of $502,868. The grant will be used to support special education students as specified with the following grant allocations for the 2018-2019 school year. $490,874 will be used to supplement tuition costs for out-of-district student placements. And then $11,994 will be used to supplement salary and benefits for free school disabled teacher Kristen Avalon. 8, approved Psychoeducational Consulting Group, LLC, in Metuchen to provide services as needed for the Special Services Department for the 2018-2019 school year. Fees for Svetlana that's per diem full school day, 400 half day, $250, and the other costs are also listed. 9, approve a special service contract with Occupational Therapy Consultants Incorporated in Bound Brook to provide occupational therapy services to students with disabilities for the 2018-2019 school year. 10, approve the service contract with Brett Genovi and Associates, LLC, for behavioral consultation services for the 2018-2019 school year. Staff will be provided by Brett Genovi and Associates to include contracts for staff development, professional development, and it's further detailed on Schedule F. And then 12, to approve a service contract with Occupational Therapy Consultants Incorporated to provide occupational therapy services to students with disabilities for the 2018-2019 school year. Staff is provided by Occupational Therapy Consultants. So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Please call the roll.
Mr. Coyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Denizio?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mrs. Sam Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes. Policy and Public Relations, Mrs. St. Phillips.
The Policy and Public Relations Committee met on August 7th to discuss the first readings of the 3 policies that are presented tonight for your approval. The next meeting is scheduled for September 11th at 9:30. I would like to move the following resolutions for approval as recommended by the Superintendent of Schools. 1, approve the first reading of the following policies. P1613, disclosure and review of applicants' employment history. P5512, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. P5561, use of physical restraint and seclusion techniques for students with disabilities. 2, approve Jason Swain as a volunteer boys soccer coach for the 2018 fall season upon receipt of mandated paperwork, including approval of NJDOE Criminal History Review Unit and Employment History Statute PL 2018. 3, approve the agreement with New Jersey School Boards Association to provide strategic plan renewal services as detailed on the attached document for an amount not to exceed $4,000. And you all have that attachment. And 4, approve the following Middlesex Community School Program courses for the 2018-2019 school year as follows. And there's a list of the instructors' courses and costs. So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions for Karen? Please call the roll.
Mr. Coyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Denizio?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mrs. Sam Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes. Facilities and Finance, Mr. Schuler.
Facilities and Finance did not meet in August. Our next meeting is scheduled for 6 p.m. on September 17th. This evening I would like to move the resolutions as recommended by the superintendent of B1, which is the bills list, and then B2 and 3 are awarding of contracts for the high school and Mauger interior video camera installation projects. B4 and is the approval of the contract for the middle school intrusion system upgrade, exterior door contacts. 5 is to approve the community school budget for 2018-19. 6 is to approve the asbestos abatement project at the high school and Mauger. That looks like it's for cables it's for the door. It's for the other contracts. 7 is to approve a contract for a bollard in front of the student lineup area outside of Mauger, door 6. 8 is to accept a donation of furniture to make a little library at Parker School. 9 is building use from the College of New Jersey. 10 is a contract with Sky Electric for outlets in the high school server room. 11 is to accept a donation to restore the high school flagpole pavers. And 12 is to approve Total Lawn Care LLC to do district lawn mowing services. And finally, 13 is the application submission for the Mauger unit ventilator upgrade. So moved.
Second.
Questions?
Yeah, Dave, do we partner with Canada for lawn mowing services at all?
We looked into that, and it didn't go anywhere. So it actually, there was a miscommunication, and so we did not budget for that. And later, realized that we had to figure something out, and that's why you're approving this tonight, or we're asking you to approve this tonight.
Bill, I don't want to kick sand on anybody's face, but there appeared to be some kind of agreement with the powers that be in town, and something happened that agreement just was never approved by the workers, and so we were stuck trying to do this in the last minute situation.
I understand.
But we do with, they do with the fields.
They do the fields.
The fields.
Okay.
This is not the fields.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Coyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Denizio?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mrs. Sam Phillips?
Yes.
Mrs. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes. Motion approved. Unfinished business. Any unfinished business? I think there's a bit of unfinished business because we have all participated in the evaluation, all of us who are eligible participated in the evaluation of the superintendent, and Mrs. Denizio was given the opportunity or charged with the responsibility of writing the anecdotal, and it's all done and completed, but we haven't yet presented it to the superintendent. I think we should give some serious thought to how we want to do that as soon as possible. It's a good evaluation. We should have it sooner rather than later, right? Like you do. Okay. New business.
Okay. Mark. At a council meeting I attended last Tuesday there, we had a student, Audrey Pettit, who's currently going for her Gold Girl Scout Award, which, as we know, is the equivalent to the Eagle Scouts. She has established a mini pantry in Middlesex, and it's what she describes as essentially a 18-inch by 15 by 20-inch wooden box on a post filled with non-perishable food items, and it'll be cemented 2 feet into the ground. One is currently at the Elks, and at the council meeting she asked for permission to establish another one. And she gave a few options, and what the council decided and the mayor was to put one by the library. It was sort of thought that was a good spot because of foot traffic. So far, whether it's a good thing or not, it's been successful, considering what it's for. There's people who need perishable, non-perishable food items.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we have apparently a few. Because it's been filled and emptied and filled and emptied several times. It also has a phone number for the county food pantry on it also. So that's Audrey Pettit. So you have to look into that because obviously anyone can put things in there. That's household staples that are non-perishable. Also at the meeting, a bond was approved for improvement to the memorial field, specifically the football field, the driveway that goes from the parking lot to the field. And as we know, anytime it's rainy, it's a mess back there. So that's going to start shortly. Also, after the football season, the stands, the press box, and the snack bar will be improved. They weren't specific on to dates, just after football schedule was over. Also, the mayor announced that there was a study done by the police department, and the chief of police recommended that retired police officers, they assume that retired police officers be placed in each one of our schools, 5 police officers. He did not indicate when that would start or who would pay for that. But he did state that he believes it would be retired police officers. And that's all.
Who presented that?
The mayor?
The mayor.
He did.
Thank you. Any other new business? Okay, we'd like to open the meeting again for comments from the public, questions from the public. Yes, Nadine.
Hi, Nadine Pachowski again. On Audrey Pettit's project, I was involved with it at the Elks. So we did put it outside. It is a nice, she did detail it to fit in with the background. But what she didn't say, and I think we need to know, is that The box was emptied completely in one day, and she put the stuff back in the next day, and it was completely empty. And then she wrote a note saying that if you needed more services to contact Fish. And the note was left in the box the next day from a family saying that they had hit hard times, and they apologized for emptying the box. But the problem is that they can't get to Fish. Fish is in Dunelma. And if you don't have a car and you don't have transportation, you can't go. So Audrey wrote them back to say that they could take as much as they wanted, and that we would find a way to keep the box going. And I think that it's great to say Fish is available, but if you don't have a way to get there, then you can't get there.
What's the acronym? What does FISH stand for?
Forever, I don't know.
I don't know, and I don't want to guess either. I know SHIP is Samaritan in Somerville. That's for meals, to get hot meals, because we did that with the Girl Scouts, but I don't know what the FISH acronym is. But it's very hard if you can't get to Dunelma. It's a long walk.
She had proposed two other places, in front of the police station or Borough Hall, and the council and mayor
I know it's
came up
hard,
with
it's
the
a
idea in
risk.
front of the library. And people, it's a difficult situation.
I do believe
You
that.
need the stuff, but you don't want anybody maybe necessarily seeing you take the stuff.
Well, I think that's why it's nice that it's out, and then you could come at, like, I'm sure they were going after dark. It'd be nice to have one
And
here.
both places will have a parking lot, so you can actually pull,
Yeah, it would be nice if the schools put one. I mean, there was on the news about the schools in Newark providing washers and dryers because their children at the high school were being voted because their clothes aren't clean. So I think there is a need, and I'm hoping that the town will do it, but the district could offer to put one up too. I'm sure Audrey would be more than happy to do it. She needs one more up to complete her gold award. I was on the
She needs two or three.
She needs two. She has one.
Okay, yeah,
so
that's-
she needs one more. So
They didn't give a timetable on when they were going to actually, I guess she has to build it, or somebody has to.
no, it's already done.
Okay.
She made it herself, and her father's helping her, so it's ready to go. She just needs a position, spot to put it in.
Okay.
And at the Elks, I'm going to say we're a little nervous about putting it up, but it's worked out really well. And I think the big thing is that it's helping people here, and that's something that we need to look out for. So just to comment that
Right.
yes, it has been working very well and is providing for our customers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Bob?
Bob DeLuda, NEA president. We had a retirement in December of a maintenance worker, and that position, as far as I know, has not been filled yet. Are we looking to fill that position again?
Doesn't seem to be in the cards right now, Bob.
So we're going from 4 maintenance guys to 3 maintenance guys, which is what we currently have. We have a retirement coming up in October.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing the one.
So one contract is to replace the maintenance worker.
To assist the maintenance. Yeah.
The excess workload then from that worker that retired, where does that?
Well, you know as well as I do, the workload stays constant and the number of people who are doing it dwindles, more work for the people that are here. And, Ray Mulvey will work with it, do everything he can to make it a little bit fair. It's not a good situation. Bob, I'm not, telling you anything you don't know, but money's tight. It's not just in this district, it's everywhere. Good money. Thank you.
We did get extra money from the state.
Yeah, we did. Not as much as we thought we were going to get.
Less than a fourth maintenance worker? Or more?
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Yeah, we're in executive session.
What?
Motion for executive session.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have a special second.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We have a motion to go
That's gonna.
we're dealing with, can I read it out?
The Middlesex Board of Education hereby determines that it may be necessary to meet an executive session on August 20th to discuss matters involving Level 3 MBA grievance hearing. And that the matters discussed will be made public if and when confidentiality is no longer required.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll take a 5-minute break. The board has reconvened after a 10-minute hearing accepting grievance from the Middlesex Education Association regarding withholding of increment. Now we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
Second.
Okay, good.
All in favor?
Aye. Let me turn it off, turn it on.